This is the first time in the entire Word of God that we read of this kind of an Easter excitement, isn't it? No, it's not. There's a man in the Old Testament by the name of Job. Job, well, he was kind of afflicted as well. He lost his family, he lost his lands, he lost his home, he lost his children. He suffered with boils, it said. His health was diminishing. And then, on top of all of that, God sends him these wonderful friends to say, Job, if you just stop sinning, God would make it all better. Job says, what? And out of the midst of all of that Saturday state of mind that Job is in, he says these words. Oh, that my words were recorded. That someone would write them down on a scroll. Better yet, that they would inscribe them with an iron tool on steel. Or even better, if they would engrave them on a rock where it couldn't be taken away forever. This is what I would write. I know that my Redeemer lives, and that in the end he'll stand upon the earth. And after my flesh has been destroyed, yet in my flesh will I see God. And I myself will see him with my own eyes. It's not going to be somebody else. It's going to be me. How that makes my heart yearn within me. That's Easter. That's the resurrection. That's what's happening today. But first, this state of mind. Those of you that hear me week after week know sometimes I get a little ahead of myself in the story. We need to back up. What's that Saturday state of mind? Well, while Jesus' opponents are celebrating his death, his disciples are hiding in fear that they too will be arrested and tried and crucified. Not an unfounded fear, right? Sometimes they'll tell you that, yes, even though you might be paranoid, doesn't mean that people aren't after you. They're probably right. So they hid behind closed doors. It said they locked the doors. They wanted to make sure no one could get in, and they stayed together for safety. Disciples had a hard time believing the promises of a resurrection, of a Christ that once he died would come back to life. The women disciples didn't intend to celebrate Jesus' resurrection that morning. They just went out to embalm his body. They just wanted to make it proper for a good Jewish funeral. That's it. We'd love to think that they had this great purpose in mind when they went, but they didn't. It says they only went to prepare the body. And that's the kind of mind that we can get stuck in, isn't it? When we see things going wrong, when life seems to throw us a curveball, when we suffer illnesses, when we lose someone to death, maybe we even stop believing, stop hoping, stop dreaming. Everyone dies. But we all try to avoid that reality, don't we? We get up in the morning, we don't think about it, so we brush our teeth, we take our shower, we comb our hair, those of us who have it. We get all dressed up, we go on to our jobs, we do all the things that we normally do. And we never give it another thought. Why? Because if we gave it any thought, it would lead us to despair. We don't want to hear that we're going to die. I've sat in hospitals all too many times where a family is sitting by the bedside of someone they know is going to die. They know it here. And anytime you start to talk about it, they say, don't talk about that. We've got to have hope. Don't talk about that. And so somehow talking about it was going to remove the hope. Talking about it was going to bring to despair. But the reality is we all die. Romeo and Juliet died, right? John Kennedy died. Princess Diana died. These were important people. They should have been able to live, right? But they all died. Love, Elton John says, gets buried in a tomb. Poetry gets buried in a tomb. And all we're left with is that burning question, is this all there is? Is this all there is? One of my favorite authors, when I get those moments where I can just sit and read for pleasure, is Max Lucado. Any of you have ever read any of his books, his material? A few. Max had a brother that they called D.D. Max's older brother always looked out for his little younger brother, who was a bit shy, a bit awkward, who sometimes got picked on, and his older brother came in as his defender. He spoke for Max. He defended Max. He looked up to Max. He always made sure Max was taken care of. Then in his teen years, Max says his brother D met up with a bootlegger. Found he liked alcohol. And he sunk into despair of alcohol and cigarettes. Then at age 54, he made a serious decision. He says, I'm going to start going to AA. And he did, and he got out of some of that. But by then, the 3 packs a day and all of the alcohol had taken its toll. One day, Dee had a massive chest pain. They rushed him to emergency, where he died. His wife, Donna, and their son came to his bedside and looked at his lifeless body. This man who had abused his body, had abused his life, but had turned it around. When they looked down, they looked at his hands, and his hands were still laying on his thighs. And what he had done just before he died is he left them the symbol for love. He wanted them to know he loved them. That Saturday state of mind had turned into an Easter celebration. Dee had moved from Saturday to Sunday. And he said, don't grieve for me. In the only way that he could. Sunday, Resurrection Day, Easter, is a day of eternal love, life, and hope. Our story takes us to the tomb early Sunday morning, the day of the resurrection. And there we find Mary Magdalene, hoping to persuade the soldiers to roll away the stone, to let her care for the body, to let her take this one final act of honor and respect for this person that she so admired and so loved. Her heart is sunk. Her hope is gone. Her eyes are filled with tears. And there she finds the tomb already open. She finds the body gone. Mary is stuck in this Saturday state of mind, hoping for Jesus. The empty tomb did not take away her despair or her grief. It just led to confusion. Somebody stole my Lord. Somebody stole the man that I love. Somebody stole my leader. Somebody stole. The angel spoke to Mary.